Hey, we're going to call the regular meeting of Planning and Zoning Commission Monday, October 21st at 8:56 p.m. Let the record show that Commissioner Prada is not present. All of the commissioners are. We have a consent agenda on the table. Item A, consideration of possible action, approval of minutes and excused absence. Item B, consideration of possible action, final plat of Modern Green Ivy, plat 19-00076. Those are the two items on the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? The chair wishes to pull item B from the consent agenda. We have hearing no other items. Do I hear a motion to approve consent agenda letter A?
So move.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Move to item B that was removed from the consent agenda. That's consideration and possible action, final plat of Modern Green Ivy, plat 19-00076. This is a request of Jason Price, LJA Engineering, the applicant, on behalf of America Modern Green Development, LLC, for approval of the final plat of Modern Green Ivy District, creating 5 lots and 3 reserves on 47.062 acres located in the southwest quadrant of State Highway 288 and Spectrum Boulevard. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So move.
I have a motion and a second. Staff report.
This item located at the southwest quadrant of State Highway 288 and Spectrum Boulevard would create 5 lots and 3 reserves on 47 acres of land. Generally speaking, this plat meets all the criteria listed in the code conformance table. Staff does recommend approval of the final plat of Modern Green Ivy because it meets the conditions outlined in the UDC for approval of a final plat. This slide shows the location of the plat located in Ivy District Plan Development. And the final slide shows the configuration of the final plat of Modern Green. And also as a matter of record on site inspection of the property, the streets, curbs, gutters, and fire hydrants, and street signage as far as the names of streets and stop signs are in place on the property. That concludes my presentation.
Can you go back to the conditions for approval? So all public improvements have been completed.
Yes, sir.
I don't have any further questions. Anyone else? None? There's no further discussion on this item. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to new business. Item A, consideration possible action, zone change application number zone 19-00022. Request of Mindy Ratcliff, applicant, and on behalf of Pearland Dunhill, owner, for approval of plan development amendment to the center of Pearland Parkway PD to allow microblading services within the center on approximately 4.83 acres of land. This is at 2650 Pearland Parkway. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is from our joint public hearing. As we're attacked by flies. Does the commission have any other further questions for staff on this item, or does staff have any further comments? Hearing none. I have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to item B, consideration possible action amendment to the Thoroughfare plan. It's a request by Justin S. Barnett, representing R West Development Company, applicant, on behalf of Triangle 31 LLC, owner, for the approval of amendment to the City of Pearland's Thoroughfare plan to remove the future extension alignment of Industrial Drive, which will connect the eastern terminus of the existing right-of-way to the Dixie Farm Road locating approximately 62.46 acres. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Also from a joint public hearing. Do the commissioners have any comments or questions for staff or items they wish to record on the record? Does staff have any further comments?
No, sir.
I'll be voting no on this, and I'd like to record the reason for my no vote is that it's in line with my opposition to the PD and the land use of that PD. I did not think that that was the proper land use for this particular piece of property, given its interaction with the multiple pipeline easements crossing the property. Any further discussion or comments? All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion is denied 2-4. Moving on to item C, consideration of possible action. Amendments to Unified Development Code UDC number T-31. Amendments to Unified Development Code UDC T-31. A request of the City of Pearland for proposed amendments to Unified Development Code regarding the following sections: removing outdoor activities and uses, references from the non-residential zoning districts, Chapter 2 and Article 4, removing landscape plan submittal requirements from amending preliminary and final plat processes, redefining the master plat as master plan, Chapter 3, Article 1, Division 2, including allowances for approval of final plat prior to completion of all infrastructure improvements, Section 3.1.5.4, and Item 5, adding microblading as a use in the land use matrix, Section 2.5.2.2. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second from Mary. Is there any further discussion or comments from the commission or staff on this item?
I just have one comment. I'm going to vote against it, not because I don't approve of all the amendments, because I don't approve of the wording on the final plat completion.
And could I ask a question to Lawrence? Since we have 5 items on this one motion, and a commissioner may support 4 of the 5, do we have any means there to show, do we vote on each one, or do we have to vote on them as a whole? Because I'd hate for a commissioner's recommendation to be negative if he supported 4 of the 5.
I think if you ask my opinion, I think you can choose to vote on each item separately. I mean, you can basically divide them and vote on each one of them separately, as opposed to all just one vote for all of them.
I think we're going to have to break it down as you do that, so that it could be recorded in the minutes accordingly. The difficult thing comes not from your vote, but from council's vote, because it is a single amendment to the UDC. I mean, it's one amendment at a time, so to speak. So it's T31, and we wouldn't have T31 A through E. But yours is the recommendation to City Council. Typically, we do it as a all or none issue, but with it being a recommendation, I think we could break it down into 5 different items, and then that could be how that recommendation goes to Council just for this UDC issue. I think that we can do that.
So could we just make a motion for each one, item C1, or?
Yes, sir, and then we'll document that in the minutes accordingly.
So the chair would like to amend the original motion to
The motion can stand as is, but we're going to break it down with the vote. So it'll be on item 1, how does the P&Z Commission vote? We'll record that, and then we'll move on with each additional item.
Okay, so does staff have, commissioners have any questions or comments for staff regarding these 5 items? And I'd ask the commissioners, when we take a vote on these, if you're a negative recommendation on any of them, for to give your reason to staff so that they can record that and present that to council.
Can we talk about redefining master plat as master plan one more time? Thank you.
Sure. So a master plat is required after the approval of a plan development, so a new plan development, or after the creation of a new cluster plan. Those are the 2 instances which then require the developer to come in with a master plat, which would show the parking, the landscaping, the rights of way, those hard improvements, and generally show where they're going to put buildings, those sorts of things. We don't hold them to say, you're a 10,000 square foot building and you came in at 12 and you have to go back and redo everything. It's more of a planning tool to ensure that if you're putting water lines in a place, that we don't immediately put trees on top of those water lines. That's generally what that is for, and it requires today, under Chapter 3, it requires the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve it. This amendment would take that authority and put it into the planning director. So that way it becomes a staff level approval.
If you allow me, one way to look at it is a phasing plan, basically. Is that correct? Is it like a phasing plan as opposed to being a plat?
Phasing plan isn't as technical as a plat would be. A plat has more. A plat and this master plan would have more detail to it than just a simple phasing plan. A similar concept.
I'd like to make one question, propose one question. And I didn't think about this earlier, but a plat to me, a plat is the layout of the subdivision, the layout of the property. A plan is a conceptual document that proposes how they want to develop the property. So in essence, to me, there may be a difference between a master plat and a master plan. A plat is a document of surveys and deed restrictions and that sort of thing, where a plan is a concept.
Yes, sir. And after the master plan, if this amendment were to go through, after a master plan is developed, the preliminary plat would be developed that gets you even more detail. So sometimes the master plan is used for the phasing, saying sections 1 through 3 will be done in these number of years. Sections, that's sometimes, but the PD also has a design plan that might talk about the phasing in the buildings as well. So it is meant to be a little bit more conceptual. And then as you go in for the engineering, you realize where some of those hurdles are, but you do want the master plan first before you can figure out if the preliminary plat can get you to the next step.
I understand. Thank you.
So if I could add, the reason you were in this one, the reason for this was to reduce this item from coming through this process to this commission, which takes time. And from our history, and Mary, you can back me up on this, we see these generally at the same time, both documents at the same time. So it's kind of ridiculous to have them both here at the same time. One doesn't come way before the other. They basically come at the same time, and staff is working on that master plan, whatever you want to call it, before it comes here. So we're going to get a preliminary plat which is a reflection of the plan, and at that point you can have comment to those plats. I see this as a non-issue and really a way to streamline the process a tiny bit, not much, but a tiny bit. So we have any comments on any of the other items before we move on to a vote on each? Hearing none, all those in favor of item C1 signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0 on item C1. All those in favor of item C2 signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. All those in favor of item C3 signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed. Motion passes 5-1. All those in favor of item C4 signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed. Motion passes 5-1. All those in favor of item C5 signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Let's see.
Before we move on to the next item, I wanted to ask Commissioner Tunstall, you said that you wanted anybody with a no vote to indicate the reason why.
If they wish to record their comments.
If you wish to record your comments so they could be reflected in the record, if they're different from what you had said at the public hearing, we need to have that documented now.
Okay. Let me get to my notes here. The reason I voted against that particular item 4 is I really believe that we ought to require 100% of the completion prior to approval of the final plat, because the final plat is final. And once signed, it becomes a document of record at the county level. I think there is some potential liability on the city's part that could occur if there's any disagreement on percentage of completion after the final plat has been approved. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Laney?
There's a couple of reasons for this. The terminology, the uniformity of the terminology just kind of bothers me, and also I feel like more and more power is being siphoned away from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it bothers me. So those are my two reasons for voting against that.
Thank you. So the next item without a title is amendments to Unified Development Code AIR 19-522. Is that just a miss?
That was just the link for.
Okay, sorry. So the next is item 4 on the agenda, discussion items, Commissioner's Activity Report. Anyone have anything? I did go to a PASD workshop on a couple items they held over at Dawson. One of them was concerning vaping in the schools and all the programs they have to combat vaping and vaping-related products. It was interesting. Learned a lot about some of the programs and things that are going on. And, being a parent, kind of shocked that some of the things, the severity from all the principals that were there of the problem they have in our schools. I was not here when we passed when the city passed the last CUP for a smoke, tobacco, vape, whatever you want to call it, store in the city. I don't think that that's a solution to the problem, but whenever you're having a problem with something, you don't need to have more of it available when we have a system to try to make that a little bit more difficult. I specifically asked the principals there, where are the products coming from? Are they coming locally, web, off the streets? Where is that? The answer was yes, all the above. So I've spoken to people that do business with some of these places in town. Some of the businesses are legit. They're very nice storefronts. Some of them are not. And some of the products they sell are specifically getting into the hands of our high school kids that are using them to do illicit drugs that are very hard to detect, from what I heard in this little workshop. But certainly there wasn't a large portion of the public there, even the school district. I think I was maybe one of 4 residents and 20 staff that were there for this workshop. So the principals are fighting it daily, and as far as what we can do, moving that use to get a little bit more scrutiny and pushing back as a community against some of these products, no matter what they are, I think it's our due diligence to do that in the future. Anyway, it was interesting. I happened to find out about it. You say you didn't know about it. It come up because I'm a parent and I get the notification of these meetings. I just happened to be free and went over there to Dawson and checked it out. Anything else? Next meeting, November 18th. I'll let staff know if you can't make it. Staff have anything else? Okay. We will adjourn at 9:18.